We aren't afraid of failing, we are afraid of what success would demand from us. This is part of the Performance mid-series. Every episode in series covers one way the pressure of the perform is actively getting in the way of the performance itself. This is episode 24. There is a person you have met, maybe done once, maybe in the mirror, who is clearly capable of more than they are doing. Sometimes they can see it. The preparation that is never quite finished. The lunch that keeps getting delayed. The project that is almost ready, has been almost ready. For long than almost ready should take. The reaching towards something and then finding a way to stop just before it arrives. If this was fear of failure, it would stop them from trying at all, but they try. They just stop just short. That is different fear, and it's more common than fear of failure, and more costly, because it is harder to identify. Failure is obvious, this is invisible. It looks like perfectionism. It looks like being busy, it looks like responsible preparation. It is none of those things. It is the brain quietly engineering its outcome it finds safer than success. Let me explain what success actually threatens, because it is not irrational. The brain is doing something logical, it's just responding to the wrong threat assessment. When you succeed at something significant, several things change simultaneously. Expectation changes. Your, other people's, the standard by which you will be judged next time is now the standard you just set, which means every future attempt starts from higher base, the comfortable distance between where you are and where you are supposed to be closest. Exposure changes. More people know what you have done. More people have opinions about it. More people are watching what comes next. And people who are watching will also be there when something goes wrong. Which it eventually will, because it always does. The identity changes. A new version of yourself exists, a version you have not lived with yet, a version you aren't sure you can sustain, and the brain, which is recovered in episode 13, has a thermostat for what feels normal, looks at the new version and registers something uncomfortable, unfamiliar, and unfamiliar is processed as threat, even when unfamiliar thing is good. Here is the question the brain is actually asking, not will it fail? What if succeed? What if I succeed and then can't maintain it? What if success reveals that I'm not who I appeared to be? What if getting what I wanted makes me responsible for things I'm not sure I'm equipped for? Familiar is bounded. You tried, it didn't work, you recover. The failure has an end. Success opens into an uncertain future, more damaged, more exposed, less comfortable than where you were. And the brain processed uncertain future as threat, not because they are bad, because they are unknown. And unknown activates the same system as dangerous. There is also the social dimension, and this is the least talked about and the most powerful. Success changes relationships. The friends who know you before, the family whose idea of you was formed when you were less than this, the social group whose normal you have now exceeded, succeeding in ways the people around you have not. It can feel like betrayal, even if nobody says it directly, even if nobody even thinks it consciously. The brain detects the shift is now people respond to you. The slight change in tone, the comment that it is almost a joke but isn't quiet. The sense that this familiar dynamic is becoming unfamiliar. The brain, which is recovered, is in episode 5, was built for the social group and registers enclosures as danger. It started working to undo it through procrastination, through self-sabotage, through the decision that almost works but doesn't quite. Through playing small enough that the relationship stays intact. The person who stops back from success isn't weak. They are responding to a real social threat, just not the most important one. The most important one is the cost of never finding out what they were actually capable of. So what actually helps? The first thing is to make success concrete and bounded, not an abstract destination, not a vague sense of having made it, specific, defined, and achievable in a clear time frame. This one thing by this date, that is success being attempted, not everything that might follow. The fear of abstract, unlimited success is vastly larger than the fear of specific, concrete thing. Shrink the definition, shrink the fear. The second thing is to separate the success from the identity. The goal isn't to become the different person. The goal is to do this specific thing. Who you are doesn't have to change. What you do does. The brain fears identity change. The behavior change is significantly less threatening. Keeping that definition clear removes one of the primary sources of the resistance. The third thing is the most important and the most avoided. Have an honest conversation about how success might change the relationships that matter to you. In advance, not after the fact, before the success arrives, when the conversation can be chosen rather than forced. Not every relationship can survive significant growth in one person, and knowing that in advance doesn't make it less painful, but it does mean the fear of losing those relationships doesn't have to be the unconscious force that stops the growth from happening. The people worth keeping will have that conversation. Success isn't safe. Nothing worth doing this. But the fear of it is much less specific than it feels, and specific fear are significantly more manageable than vague ones. If you recognize this in yourself, the almost ready that keeps ending, the success that keeps arriving and then somehow, not quite, landing, send this to someone who you needs to hear it. Or keep it for yourself and ask honestly, what specifically am I afraid that success would demand from me? That question, answer it honestly, is the beginning of something. Is the vague fear never allows you to start. And in next episode, people pleasing. It isn't kindness, it is a fear response with a very good public relation